hi, so I look like garbage. I worked 12:30 to 10 today. I haven't showered and I'm breaking out hella bad. But I've been so upset by comments that were made to me at work today. I'm so frustrated still that I have to talk about it because I need to get it off my chest. I'm so frustrated. A couple months ago, I made a video titled, I Still Have Agoraphobia, or something along those lines. And it was about a friend from work who wanted me to go out to eat in like Tampa, and I couldn't do it because I have agoraphobia, right? Alright, well tonight at work, same coworker invited me to go mudding 2 hours away at midnight. And I was like, yeah, I kind of can't do that. That makes me uncomfortable. And he's like, well, you're always making excuses. Like, it's not really an excuse. I have anxiety. That just makes me uncomfortable. Maybe if you asked me to do something a little more rational and local, I would say yes. But to that, I'm going to decline, you know. And he got very frustrated with me. Saying that I don't try. You've just accepted the anxiety as a part of who you are, and you're never going to overcome it. You're just going to let it control your life, let it, be a part of you. You're just never going to try all of this stuff, which, okay. And then he was like, oh, well, I understand. You just don't understand my side of the story, because I ask you to do things, but I mean, if you keep trying to pet a cat and it bites you, eventually you're just going to stop petting it because you're just going to assume that it's going to bite you, which he was trying to say something like, well, basically you're just going to stop getting invited places because you say no so much. And I'm like, well, I say no because I can't go. He's like, you don't want to go. I said, no, there's a difference between not wanting to go and actually not being able to go. And he's like, well, the end result is the same. I'm like, yes, but it's not the same thing. And then he went on to say that he knew people that were agoraphobic and had anxiety, and they don't make excuses like me, and blah, blah, blah. And here's the thing. Everyone experiences anxiety, just not at high levels. Not everyone is diagnosed with an actual anxiety disorder. Okay? I know lots of people that have anxiety. I have met fellow agoraphobics. I've actually met like 2 or 3 in my life, but still, like in person. I have yet to meet someone with anxiety or agoraphobia as bad as mine. And I don't want to be like, I'm the head anxiety bitch up in here, like Queen Anxiety, because who the fuck wants that title? It's not something I'm proud of. But it's just the honest truth. Like, I've met other agoraphobics, but they either have not been homebound, or they just have comfort zones, or they can actually do things. It's just they avoid, like, certain events. Even then, they still go to events, which I'm totally jealous of. So everyone's anxiety and agoraphobia is different. And to say that, oh, well, like, my friends that have anxiety don't make excuses, but you do. Maybe because mine's worse than theirs. And not to be like, oh, well, mine's worse than theirs, but maybe it is. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know. You just don't know. And then to say that I don't try. My favorite comment. I love when people make comments about, oh, well, you just need to try hard. Maybe if you try harder, you would get better. And he's like, the best thing you can do is just expose yourself to that fear. Alright. Problem with that is, I have this fear that if I expose myself too much, that I will freak out so badly to where I will become homebound again. And he's like, well, if you freak out so badly and you're afraid of being homebound again, just force yourself to go back out. Don't let yourself become homebound again. And I'm like, oh, really easy for you to say, coming from a non-agoraphobic. Me, someone who was agoraphobic and homebound, is agoraphobic and was homebound for a vast majority of her teenage life. It's not that easy. And to say that I haven't tried hard enough, or I don't try, 2 years ago, I was homebound. I was homebound for 5 years during that time. And I have been homebound for other, sets of time as well, from when I was 14 to 19. Or was I 20? I was 20. Sorry. So for 6 years, I had agoraphobic homebound episodes where I didn't leave my house for periods of time. And one of those periods being 5 fucking years. Imagine not being able to leave your house for 5 years. And, this is not directed towards anyone on, one of my subscribers or anything, because I know a lot of people that watch these videos have either been homebound for some amount of time, even longer than me, which I can't even imagine that, and it just, this is stuff I wanted to say to my coworker. Being a neurotypical, it must be so fucking nice. To not have anxiety must be so fucking nice. To be able to leave your house without any fear, any worry, your mind not fucking all over the place, discombobulated, must be so fucking nice. Yes, I can't do a whole lot of things. I go out, albeit it's all local shit, and for most of the time, I can't even talk. Christ. But do not ever diminish the progress that I have made. Because I have made progress, and I will continue to make progress. And it's not something that just happens overnight. It's not something that I can just go out and just overcome. Oh, I'm afraid of heights. Let me go in a fucking airplane. Boom. It's overcome. No. It's not that easy. It's not that simple. For a long period of my life, I was afraid to even walk outside my front door. I was afraid to even leave my bed. Why? I don't know. And it's not as easy as telling my mind to basically just get over it. Just don't be afraid to do that. Just do it anyway. Because my mind will win. My mind always wins. And trying to fight back against my mind is so fucking difficult. And people don't realize that. People that don't have mental disorders just think oh, well, just do it anyway. Just ignore it. Thank you so much, you cured me. You don't get it until you actually fucking go through it. And I would never wish anyone to go through agoraphobia, especially, because I think that was the most life-destroying thing for me. I mean, it ruined the past 10 years of my life. This upcoming August, it'll be 10 years. And I'm still very young. I'm not old. I'm almost 23. To have such a bad mental state and stability at such a young age, it's really just, it's tiresome, and people don't give enough credit for that. I had a teacher in high school. I had an anxiety attack in his class one day. It was the first one I had ever had of many. And he made me stay after class, and I was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble or something. And he was so sweet. He congratulated me for being able to come to school. He told me how brave and courageous he thought I was, because he knows that every single day it's such a struggle and a battle to even come to school, but here I am, overcoming that. And he told me how much of an inspiration to him I was. And honestly, I'm about to cry right now thinking back to it. He was such a wonderful teacher. He was my writing teacher. My English teacher, and then my creative writing teacher as well. I took him for 2 classes because I loved him so much. To this day, he was the only teacher that ever stood up for me when people were bullying me, and it was wonderful. He was one of the best teachers I ever had. A lot of people didn't like him. He had anxiety to where there was this lump in his throat, and it made his voice super high. and people made fun of him for the way that he talked. And so we got along really well because we both had different forms of anxiety, but he was overcoming his and I was overcoming mine, and it was wonderful. And I think that's the only time I've really had like someone tell me they were proud of me for something as simple as going to school. Because to normal people, going to school, like, oh, fuck, I don't want to go to school, wah. But for me, it was like an actual struggle. I had been homebound for the first 2 months, the first whole quarter, half a semester. And then I come back to school, and I'm like, I had this anxiety attack, and he just told me how brave I was. And it was so comforting to hear that. So, to anyone, I don't know, I try to be like inspirational now, but you know what, it's not that easy. This is not black and white, and that's what I was trying to tell my coworker tonight, is that my anxiety is not black and white, and the situation is not black and white. There are a lot of gray spectrums and gray areas, and it's like on a spectrum, and it's a very difficult subject. It's a very touchy, sensitive subject for me. And people just kind of don't get it. Which sucks. But just remember that any progress is progress, no matter how minuscule it may seem to other people, because it's really not small. Like, normal people, neurotypicals, they don't understand. They just really, truly don't. And that's what I've learned. Like, you can walk outside to the mailbox and come back in. To you, that's a fucking milestone. To them, it's like big fucking deal. Like, they can do whatever they want and not think twice about it. But for us, people like us, it's impossible to do a lot of things. To be so fearful of life and living itself is exhausting. And a lot of people will never understand that. And that's why I make these videos, is to kind of just raise a little bit of awareness that this mental disorder does exist, and people like me and you guys, we do exist. It's not as uncommon as you think it is. And just know that you're never alone. Progress is always... I was gonna say something and I totally forgot. Whatever. I'm just rambling, but yeah. I'm still really annoyed though. I'm still really annoyed that was said to me, because like, fuck that. Anyway, that's all. Peace. God, that was such a bad smile.